Hey, hello everyone, welcome back. In this session, we're going to learn how to properly retire a stake pool. So, if you are on pre-production or in preview testnet, just for learning purposes, perhaps you are already confident and you want to move forward to deploy your stake pool on mainnet. And perhaps at that point, you want to stop your operations on preview testnet or in pre-production testnet. And it will be very helpful for the healthiness of the testnets that you properly retire your stake pool. But also, if you are on mainnet, if you are running a stake pool on mainnet and you want to retire your stake pool for whatever reason, well, only if you retire your stake properly, you will be able to get your ADA deposit back. So it is important that you retire that in the correct way, and also it is a mechanism to, of course, maintain the healthiness of the network, right? So let's learn how to achieve this. And as you may suspect at this moment, we have done several similar things before, and it is done via a certificate. But before I jump to the certificate, let me just read this warning that is very important here, and I want you all to be well aware of this. In particular, this is critical if you are retiring a stake pool from mainnet. Your pool deposit is refunded to the rewards address. So do not unregister the stake address before you get your deposit back. If you unregister your stake key and also submit the retirement certificate for your pool, and we have an Epoch transition, well, at the Epoch transitions where the rewards are distributed, your reward will not find any place to go because your stake address has been unregistered, right? And because of that, the protocol will have no other thing that send this to the treasury, okay? And there's no way to get it back from there. Now, let me just walk you through this like end-to-end process. So the idea is that if you are planning to retire the stake pool, of course, all the pool owners and ideally, of course, also the delegators are well informed about this. Make sure that pool owners do not remove their pledge until the pool has been retired. Create a deregistration certificate and send it to the chain in a transaction. Again, notify all your delegators that your pool is about to be retired. You can do that via Twitter, via, your usual communication mechanisms with your delegators. Of course, wallets should display a warning that this particular pool will going to be retired. And also the explorers show that. So it is part of the information that delegators deserve. So keep your system working normally until we reach the epoch that you choose on your certificate. So do not shut down your nodes or anything like that before your actual retirement has been applied. Once the pool has been effectively retired, the pool deposit will be sent back to the rewards account. This is why it's critical to not unregister the stake address before you get the deposit back. Now, when the pool is effective, wait for the pending rewards to be paid. If you are planning to also unregister the stake address, you need to wait a couple of epochs for all the remaining rewards to be paid, right? And then you can basically withdraw your rewards and pull deposit from the rewards account. And then lastly, if you wish, you can unregister or deregister. I think the register is a better term. Deregister the stake key if needed. So this is kind of the process that you need to follow. We have this documentation in the node repository. And now let me just go through the actual process of creating this deregistration certificate. So we are currently at Epoch 233. So I'm gonna set my retirement for Epoch 234. Let me just check that my node here is in sync. Cardano CLI, query, tip. dash testnetmagic 2. And there we go. We are in sync, so we are all good to proceed with the retirement of my stake pool, the CRSE stake pool that I've been running in the latest epochs. So now, what I need to do, create the certificate. I can do that on here on my live system where I am connected to the node, or I can do this on my ergat machine, because I need to embed this deregistration certificate in a transaction, and I love the build command because it helps me to calculate the transaction fees automatically. I will create the certificate here, and then when it is time to sign the transaction, I will move the transaction body to my ergat machine so that I will sign it here and then coming back here to submit it. Okay, so let's do that. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that I am in the correct directory where I have well, my cold verification key, and I think that is all I need for now. And I will need, of course, my payment address and probably just that. Yeah, my payment address for when I am building my transaction. So I'm in the correct directory here. Let me just come and run Cardano CLI stake pool deregistration certificate. I will need to provide my cold verification key file. It is cold.vkey, which I have here. I need to tell at what epoch I am planning to retire this stake pool. And as we said before, it's gonna be on epoch 234. Note that there is a protocol parameter that limits how far you can go with this. And currently it is, you can plan this retirement up to 18 epochs in advance. And that's a very good idea. The longer time you give your delegators to actually move their funds to a different, move their delegation to a different stake pool, the better. Of course, this is always a good idea to be nice with the delegators that stayed with you for this time. So epoch 234 in this case, because I want to show you the following steps relatively quickly in 7 hours or so. But you may want to give your delegators a bit more time to just notice that you are planning to retire your pool. I don't know if the 18 epochs, but probably at least 3, 4, 5 epochs will be good. Now I will produce an out file, which is a pool registration certificate, and I'm gonna save this in this very directory. So it will be this one, pool deregistration certificate. Let me just see what is inside. Of course, it's, as always, it is a text envelope that is containing the retirement certificate. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to build a transaction body. And to build that transaction body, I have this nice command over here. Nothing new at this point. We are just, Cardano CLI transaction build testnet magic 2 for the preview testnet. As before, I am using this compounding of commands to get the transaction input. This will get the UTXO that I want to use as an input for the transaction. The change address, the change of this transaction will go to my payment address. I am using here, this is very important, I am using witness override 2. This certificate will be signed by a couple of keys, by my payment signing key, and of course by my cold signing key, so that the certificate is actually valid. And because of that, I need to say witness override 2 so that transaction build can calculate the proper transaction fees. I am giving here the certificate file that I'm going to submit, which is the pool registration certificate, and finally I will produce an output file, which is the tx.raw as usual. So let me just run this command, and we have a successful transaction body. And now, of course, you can use Cardano CLI transaction view tx file tx.raw to actually explore your transaction body, and you will find it here, certificates, and it includes a stake pool retirement certificate for Epoch 234, and this is the stake pool ID that we are willing to retire. So now from here we can actually just sign the certificate here on the air-gap machine, and for that I will need to copy my TX row into volumes CLR. Yeah, probably just that. It will, I can ls volumes CLR, and I have this TX row over here. This is the one that I am now ready to sign. So let me just come here to safely remove this. Now I can grab my USB drive as before and bring it to my air-gap system over here. But I am already recording the screen. Yes, so I am of course in the directory where I have my call signing key and my payment signing key. And this is exactly what I need to do now. I need to sign with both of those keys. So I can do Cardano CLI transaction sign, and I need to specify the testnet magic. In this case it's 2. I need to give the TX body file, which we know now it is inside media Carlos CLR, and it is tx.raw. And now I can do signing key file. Let's use payment.sk. Another signing key file, which is the code.sk. And finally, I can produce an out file. Out file, which will be again media Carlos CLR and tx.retire.signed. Something like that will do. Nice, I have signed my transaction body with both of my keys, so now I am ready to actually just remove my USB drive from here. And now I can bring my signed transaction body to my system over here. And for that, I can simply use Cardano CLI transaction view -tx file, and it should be now in volumes. No, CLR tx.retire.signed, and it will be the correct one, but now this time it contains the witnesses. Now it has the signatures, and it has all the information that, well, will make this certificate a valid certificate. So now we are only one step away from submitting the certificate to the chain, which is, of course, Cardano CLI transaction submit, testnet magic 2, but this is not the file that we want to submit, but instead volumes CLR tx.retire.signed. And with that, we have the transaction successfully submitted to the chain, and after a couple of minutes, well, this transaction will be processed by a stake pool. Let's see if this captured my retirement certificate. It says it's active, so probably once my transaction ID, my transaction is processed, Cardano CLI, let me just get the transaction ID, Cardano CLI transaction TX ID, and I need to provide the TX body file, which is volumes CLR tx.retire.signed. So this is the transaction ID. Now I can come to the Explorer and make sure if this has been processed. No, it has not been processed yet. There you go. So now we have a pool certificate here, and it says it is a pool registration for this pool ID, and it will be retired on Epoch 234, just as we programmed it to be. So they are now announcing that the pool CRSE it's expiring on Epoch 234. And for that, what I need to do now is to just make sure that I keep my system running until the pool is effectively retired. And that means that at that point, I can, well, retire my servers. I mean, shut them down and move out my stuff and kill my server, if you will, right? But until this time, we want to stay active. And well, I'm gonna cut it here and come back when we reach Epoch 234 just to see what's going on over there. And well, a few hours have passed and we have crossed the epoch boundary to Epoch 234. So we are now on Epoch 234. And as you can see here, Cardano scan now shows that my stake pool expires on Epoch 234. That means that by the end of this epoch, this is my very last epoch producing blocks. By the end of this epoch, I won't be anymore eligible to produce blocks because, well, my stake pool has been retired. And well, I'm still producing blocks during this epoch. So everything needs to stay running, and by the end of this epoch, I can then terminate my servers for the stake pool and all of that, right? So basically, this is it. And in the next video, we will be waiting for our rewards to come to the stake address. Also, we are going to be waiting for the deposit to come back to our stake account. And basically, we will withdraw those rewards into a payment address, and only after that is when we can deregister our stake address if we want to do so. So thank you very much for watching this video. This is how you retire your stake pool. So thank you very much. See you there.